The name of this story is Strega Nona's Magic Lessons by Tommy DePaula. Bombolona, the baker's daughter, was angry. Every day, summer, fall, winter, and spring, she had to get up before the sun to bake the bread. Then, piling the loaves on her head, she went to deliver them. But her work wasn't finished. Rushing back to the bakery, she had to mix the flour and salt and water and yeast and set the dough to rise for tomorrow's bread.
Don't forget,
Her father, the baker, would say,
to make the cookies and bake the cakes. And remember, Bombolona, to clean up everything spick and span. I'm going now to see my friends.
And off he would go to sit all day in the square of the little town in Calabria. One day, Bombolona said,
Papa, there is too much work to do. I need some help.
Get up earlier,
her father said.
But I get up now before the sun,
said Bombolona.
And I'm the last one in town to get to bed.
That's the way things are,
her father said, as he went out the door on his way to the square.
And don't forget,
he called back,
you have a wedding cake to bake.
That did it. Bombolona dusted the flour from her hands and took off her apron.
I'm going to change the way things are,
she said.
I'll go see Strega Nona. She's so wise. She'll help me. I think I know how to help you,
Strega Nona said after hearing Bombolona's sad tale.
So many people come to me with their troubles. I could certainly use some help. Why not stay with me, and I will teach you my magic. Oh, Strega Nona,
said Bombolona.
Thank you. We'll start today,
said Strega Nona. Now, Big Anthony, who worked around the house and in the garden for Strega Nona, was listening. He was always listening to what other people were talking about instead of working.
Strega Nona,
he shouted, running into the house.
Me too. Teach me your magic too. Oh, Anthony,
Strega Nona said with a smile.
I can't do that. Why don't you go and milk the goat?
Now, Big Anthony was the one who was angry.
I'll show Strega Nona,
he muttered.
I'll just go and work for the baker now that Bombolona has left. Down the hill Big Anthony ran.
The baker hired him on the spot.
The first thing you do is mix the dough,
the baker told Big Anthony.
Put in this much flour, this much salt, this much water, and this much yeast.
He looked hard at Big Anthony's smiling face.
Do you understand? The yeast makes the dough rise. Now mix it right away. And by the time I get back at 6 o'clock, the dough will be ready to make into loaves.
Si, signore. Yes, sir,
Big Anthony said. The baker walked out the door and toward the square.
I'll just look at everything first,
said Big Anthony, poking around.
Cookies.
He ate one, then another.
Cakes.
He ate one, then another. Big Anthony ate them all. In fact, he was still eating when the clock in the square struck 4.
Mamma mia,
said Big Anthony.
I forgot to mix the dough. It won't rise in time.
Ah, I know.
The yeast makes the dough rise. I'll just put in a lot more of that, and the dough will rise much faster. I'll still have time for a nap, he said when he got through. He sat down and promptly fell asleep. What a sight the baker saw when he returned. "Out!" shouted the baker. "What's the matter, Big Anthony?" asked Signora Rosa. "The baker threw me out. Now I have no job," he answered. "And it's Strega Nona's fault. I never would have left her house if she had let me learn to be a Strega." "Silly goose," said Signora Rosa. "Who ever heard of a man being a Strega?" All of a sudden, Big Anthony's eyes lit up, and off he ran. "To cure a headache, you must first fill the bowl with water," Strega Nona was telling Bombolona. "Next, you add a few drops of olive